Hi everyone, I hope you're all doing okay. Apologies that this video is a bit late. I said it would come out this week and today is Sunday, so technically I'm not wrong yet. I had been editing this video for the first half of the week, but it wasn't really pulling together in the way that I had hoped. It wasn't hitting for me, like it's just a bit jumpy. The reason being that my journey to New York was a bit intense and weird and bad. Some things went wrong. It was all fine eventually, but it meant that the first couple of days that I was there alone, and I was like not jet lagged, but I was underslept, undercaffeinated, and overwhelmed. It was also around 34 degrees the first couple of days that I was there, so I was incredibly hot as well, and I was having a hard time adjusting, probably because of the lack of sleep and caffeine. So the first couple of days I don't have that much footage. I had a good time and I enjoyed it and I'm happy with the things I did, but I don't have a lot to show for it. And then on the third day I met a longtime friend of mine, and again I didn't film too much. I think on that day I was more worried about being present than I was about capturing it, which is sometimes a balance you have to try and find. I think I have like 4 clips, so again it's not enough. For that reason, I can't really break the video into days in the way that I would for the attic archives, because sometimes there's literally like 15 seconds of clips before the day changes. Other days, like Stationery Fest, I have too much footage and it runs out of song to play in the background. And because New York is so loud, like all the background clips just sound like white noise. It's so annoying. I'm having a hard time like syncing things up. It's a whole thing. For that reason, I think what I want to do maybe is show you the pages I made for my time in New York, my scrapbook pages, and then just kind of talk you through it. And then while editing, maybe I will go back and add some music to like the Stationery Fest bit or something. Maybe that bit could be quiet, and then I can come back in at the end of it to talk. Basically, I've hit a wall with it. And I'm starting to feel very distracted by Halloween work. I'll put a sneak peek on screen. I am ready to throw myself headfirst into that, I think, and knowing that this is unresolved is eating me up. So this is what we're trying. I hope you enjoy it. I'm sorry that it's not like a traditional attic archive style vlog for it, but hopefully this is okay. First and foremost to address is that I'm back in my Filofax at the moment. I think all the stress of planner previews and pre-order season was kind of eating me alive. It was becoming too stressful, and I'm finding sterling ink difficult to keep track of this year just because the different sizes and colours are restricted for different layouts, and it's like a whole thing. And then at first it wasn't clear if there were going to be clear covers, but now I guess there are. Last week I think that was still speculation, so it's just been kind of confusing to keep on top of, and I don't know, I feel a bit stressed about all of it. So I was like, I'm just gonna go like home to my Filofax for a bit, and also because I'm kind of formatting my Halloween project for it, and it just makes sense. This one I'm using on the side. I had this in a drawer waiting as like a just in case book, and I'm using it as kind of like a sticker diary, and I think I want to do this for next year. I think next year I want to try and do Filofax again, just because I miss the security and consistency it gave me at this point really badly. And then I think I might use a week's as a sticker diary. I've been testing some spreads, going back through, just kind of like this, because I have some fun stickers and I enjoy using them, and then I just don't really have anywhere to put them. So I think that's kind of something I'm going to keep testing through the end of this year and then see how I feel. In my Filofax this time around, I've been typing everything up, which is kind of nice. It's nice. I get to think harder about what I'm saying, and I can actually read stuff back, which is a big perk. So not to detract from the topic of the actual video, but basically everything is typed up, and having that little weeks book on the side will help give me some analog output as well, I guess. So for New York, start of August, yeah. So for New York, what I did again this time, the same thing that I did for my Canada pages, was I printed those travel journals I made. So this page allows me to keep like my flight data on the side, and then there's a sort of timeline as well if you want to use it. There's expenses and food. And then I write like an overview of the day, and you can write which number day it is, the weather, the date, what the itinerary is. So I've been using these pages as part of the layouts, I guess. So the first day was traveling and it was very chaotic. The too long didn't read of it is our flight couldn't land in JFK. We arrived in JFK fine, but then we couldn't land because visibility was too poor. We ended up in Boston. Like, I was texting my dad at like 3 in the morning and I was like, I can't be in Boston. And then we ended up like trapped in Boston. It was meant to be temporary and it was not temporary. We ended up stuck on the active runway for like 5 hours, and then we had to be evacuated by the ground team, and then we had to go through immigration, which makes sense, but then we had to get a 6-hour coach back to JFK, and that really sucked because it was 4 in the morning and there was like 200 of us trying to get on coaches, and it just was bad. Wrote about that a bit though, not quite as dramatically as that, but so then I arrived 16 hours later than I was meant to at my hotel. I was meant to arrive at like 8 p.m, 9 p.m. on the like Saturday night, and then I didn't get there until 10 a.m. on the Sunday morning. So I didn't film a lot, but I will put the clips that I do have on screen. I'm referencing them on my laptop as we go, so bear with me. The hotel was really cute. I was really happy with it. I booked that hotel specifically because when I was speaking to Brontë and PJ, they mentioned that they were staying there and they'd already booked it, so if I wanted to sync it up with them, that would be cool. So in the end I did. I thought that was a great idea. They said it was a 10-minute walk from Yoseka, which is also a big perk, and the area is cute. Very gentrified. But I booked that, so I stayed at the Hoxton Hotel in Williamsburg, and the room was nice. I was really happy with it. It felt cozy the whole time I was there, and it was like just enough room for one person, I think. It was comfortable. So on this first day after I arrived, I brushed my teeth and I took a shower, and then I took out my contact lenses because they've been in my eyes for like 30 hours. And then I took a nap for an hour and a half because I was wrecked, and then I woke up an hour and a half later and I realized I hadn't eaten in 30 hours either because there was no food for them to give us while we were trapped in Boston. Like we were just stuck and hungry. So I decided that I would have to force myself to go out, even though I felt like really bad and I felt kind of out of body. I don't think I could feel my face for the first 3 days that I was there. But I decided I would go out and try and find food. I had all my like itinerary things, all the things that I wanted to look at, like pinned on my Apple Maps, and then so one of them was Frankel's Deli. I went out to find that, and it was really hot and I felt a bit underprepared. But I did find it, and I did have a bagel, and it was really, really good. The only downside being that I was so hungry and so out of it that I ate the first half so fast that by the time I got to the second half, I felt really sick. On reflection, I think a big part of that would be caffeine withdrawal. That didn't actually occur to me until I got home, and then I was like, oh, I did not drink coffee for like the first 2 or 3 days, and I don't sleep, and my caffeine intake is normally quite high, so I do go through withdrawal. But you know, no long-term harm done, so it's okay. When I was out after finding a bagel, I then went to find McNally Jackson, which I did. I didn't buy anything there. They had quite a good horror section, and I did spend some time. I looked at a copy of Sleuther that was illustrated. People keep recommending that to me, and I considered buying that. But I didn't. On the first day, I think I was still being quite careful. And then I also came across Mother of Junk, which is a junk shop that I remember from when I went to New York in 2020. I had come across that with my friend previously, and then I found it again by accident. So I went in to have a poke around, and it was just as I remember it, just like full of chairs. The owners are always beefing someone at the front. And then when I tried to find it on a map later to write their name down, I realized they have like all 1-star reviews on Yelp, and it's because they're always fighting people. So that's kind of funny. Apparently you can get in a lot of trouble for filming in their shop, but I didn't, so thank God for that, because I guess they didn't clock me. But just be careful. If you go there, they might fight you. After that, I ended up getting a scoop of ice cream at, I think it's called Van Leeuwen Ice Cream Parlor, and I think it's vegan ice cream. Basically, I was wandering around confused, and like everything is cement in New York, so when it's hot, it's hot, and I was just felt really disoriented and kind of like sandy, kind of dusty. I saw the ice cream parlor and like it was making eyes at me. So I had a scoop of dark cherry chocolate chip, and you can see it in my photo here, and I'll put the footage on screen. It was so good. I think I got 2 scoops, but 1 scoop would have been fine. I always forget to adjust for American portions. It takes me a couple of days before I remember to get to like be careful about the drink sizes and stuff. But it was so good. I did eat like 1.5 scoops of it before I had enough, and it was honestly delicious. I wish I could still eat it now. After that, I was kind of sat in the ice cream parlor and I was looking at the pins on my phone, and I realized that honestly I just felt like shit. I was like a bit dissociated, to be honest with you, so I was like, maybe it's okay to go back to the hotel and take a nap, which I did. I managed to navigate back to the hotel in the heat, and I took another nap for a few hours this time. I was really tired and I was really sort of like not sick from the heat, but I felt like a bit bad. So I took a big nap. Oh, on the way back to the hotel, I did also find another sort of like, it's not a junk shop, it's like a comic shop with a lot of pop figures, and they have like CDs and DVDs and stuff, and that's right by the Hoxton. And that's where I bought my Garbage Pail Kids, which you can see photocopied here. And photocopying is something that I did a lot of again this time. I photocopied all my receipts because they're thermal, so photocopying them preserves them. So I have my one up here, and then I have my Garbage Pail Kid photocopied as well. I have a photo to put on the back of this one, but I keep forgetting to print it out, but I will do that. It's just a photo of the CDs in this comic shop. So after I woke up from my accidental huge nap, my aircon nap, delicious. Aircon naps were something I started to take very seriously while in New York. If I got tired in the middle of the day or a bit overwhelmed, I would just come back and take a nap in the aircon for like an hour and then go back out, and it was honestly so good. And I think that's a big part of why having a hotel in a good location is really helpful, because if you have to travel out and into your hotel, then you can't rest in the day, and that sucks. Obviously, as someone with autism and a sleep disorder and stuff, like multiple things going on basically, like it was just something I really valued. So after I woke up from my nap, I brushed my teeth again. But like I did a lot of toothbrushing that first day because with the flight I just couldn't get the taste out of my mouth. I was texting my dad and my brother a bit, and I was like, I'm gonna have to go out and find dinner if I want any hope of regulating my schedule. If I want any hope of like moving through the days normally, I'm gonna have to like try and force myself back on a routine. At this point, I was not hungry. I did not really care. But my ultimate comfort food is Shake Shack. We don't have that many in the UK. They're kind of sporadic. There isn't one in Reading. If I want Shake Shack, I have to go to London. But Shake Shack is my all-time comfort food. I don't know why. I think as a migrainer, it's something about the salt of the fries and like having an ice cold Coke, and it's just good. And Shake Shack really seems to hit a spot for me that other fast food doesn't. So anyway, I was looking at the map trying to work out where I could eat as one person in Brooklyn and Williamsburg on an evening with no notice, and I saw there was a Shake Shack a short walk away. So I was sold. I was like, I want that comfort right now. No footage of that because it's food and it's kind of gross, but I had a Shake Shack and it was healing. After that, I realized that there was a bookshop I wanted to go to relatively nearby, and I kind of stumbled across it by accident. So the bookshop was called Spoonbill in Sugartown, and if you live in New York or if you're visiting and you're around the area, I really recommend it. It's such a cool little place. I was talking to the nice lady behind the counter about the books and stuff, and it was just one of those ones where like you're just having a really wholesome conversation after a bad day, and it was kind of nice. So that's where I bought my Yoshitomo Nara book. I actually bought all my books there. So all the books I showed in my previous video, that's where I bought them. It was just cool. They had a lot of art books. They had books on politics and history. They had novels in the back, the children's section. They had quite a good stationery section too. Like it was just a really good hole-in-the-wall bookshop. I really rate it. So that was day one. By that time, it was kind of 9 p.m. The bookshop was open late, which is cool. That's not a thing that happens in the UK, and it always catches me off guard when I go anywhere else. And things are just open on an evening when people can actually go to them. So that was nice. I got a Dunkin' Donuts coffee on the way back to the hotel because I saw it across the street, and I was like, I would love a hot drink right now, to be honest. That bit of caffeine probably helped me sleep, because I went back to the hotel, drank the whole coffee. I think I watched the History Channel for a bit because I couldn't find anything else, and then I slept really hard. Day 2, I woke up first at 5 in the morning, which isn't ideal, but is how jet lag works. I texted with my dad and my brother for a bit because it would have been 9-10 a.m. for them, and I was trying to work out what to do with my day. This was the day with the hottest temperature, and I was not willing to face it. I did not feel like I was in a good enough headspace to face it. I think it was 34 or 35 degrees C, whereas the first day was like 32, 33. Something to me as a British person, 34, 35 just feels so unreasonable. We have gotten as high as 40 in the UK in recent years, but you don't want to be outside in 34, 35. Like, it's just not... I didn't want to. So I was lying in bed looking at my map, and I was doing some Googling, and then I realised that the best way I know to spend a really hot day is to go to the cinema and double feature. Most cinemas have aircon, even in the UK, so this is always a great option, and it's an option that I always appreciate. So I went to the cinema. The cinema in Brooklyn, or the one that I went to anyway, is called Nighthawk, and it's their local independent cinema. It seems to be a really cool place. They do this thing where they make food and drink pairings for the movies. So for each film that comes out, they make a cool drink and then like a snack to go with it, and they're themed around the movie, and I just think that's the coolest. If you're from London or you've been to the Prince Charles Cinema in London, it kind of had a vibe like that, but like maybe like a little bit more elevated somehow. I feel like the Prince Charles is kind of like cozy, whereas Nighthawk definitely felt like a bit cooler. But I was really glad with my decision. Obviously for this day, I have like no footage at all. I have some few clips of the cinema itself and of the screen, and then I was watching movies, so I don't have that. During the first film, I saw Longlegs and I had popcorn, and I think it was homemade, like it was fresh because it was warm, and I was like, in the UK we only have like bagged popcorn, it's really depressing. And it was honestly, it was so good, and I'm allergic to popcorn, but I did have it anyway, and then I was like, I will deal with the consequences because it was so good. The second movie, I saw Twisters, and I enjoyed that way more than I expected. It was really fun. I know the original and it feels very nostalgic for me. I used to watch it on VHS at my grandma's house. But I didn't expect to love this one as much as I did, especially because that guy is in it, the capybara, Glenn Powell. I saw the meme a few months ago, and I've never been able to shake it. But he really does take you out of it. Like, only every now and then do you see the capybara come through. To be fair to him, like, I think he's quite charming on screen, so it was a good time. During that movie, I had a vegan burger for dinner because it was like 6:30 p.m. and I was like thinking again about how I have to force myself to eat regular meals if I want to try and like regulate. And it was also really, really good. So, Longlegs, people keep asking me. I did enjoy it, but it did kind of weird me out in a way. I think it was fine. I enjoyed that it was kind of like from the FBI girl's perspective. I liked that she was the protagonist, and I think it was interesting. She had kind of autistic vibes, to be honest. I thought it was good, and then like it was really eerie. It's always fun to see Nicolas Cage in a full face of prosthetics being a freak. I know he was having the time of his life. I don't know if I liked the ending. I feel like the ending kind of took me out of it, and I won't say anything because I don't want to spoil it. It's a new film, but I wasn't sure, I wasn't convinced, and then there was some things, the relationships, that kind of just like weirded me out a bit too close to home for me. Wasn't sure. Glad I saw it though, because a lot of people had been talking about it, and I do love to see a horror thriller in the cinema. Don't get to do that a lot these days because I have a nervous dog, but I was glad to have seen it. I just didn't have as unashamedly a good time as I did for Twisters. So again, in my book here, I have the 2 tickets photocopied to preserve them. Got Longlegs on the front and my little Twisters ticket on the back, and then I have this little ghost sticker just for fun. Have my pictures as well of the cinema, which is cute, and just wrote about it. This, if you've been paying attention the last couple of weeks, this is my 4th go around of making these pages. I did it first in I did it twice in A6, once in B6, and now in Filofax, and this time I think is the best, maybe just because I had all that practice. But I feel like typing things up and like being able to formulate my thoughts, I was really able to take my time and capture things in a way that feels very authentic. I felt like I had more space to reflect on how I was feeling and what the weather was like, and the small details I could remember, so it'll be really valuable to be able to read this back, especially as it's typed, and to have those insights that will surely like fade with time. So that's something I've been really valuing this time around in Filofax and typing things up, which is something I learned from my traveler's notebook experiment a few months ago, so everything feeds into itself, I guess. Day 3, I met my friend Sarah. Hi Sarah, if you're watching. I don't know if she will be, but maybe. I met Sarah. I don't have a lot of footage, just a couple of clips. We were originally meant to go to the Botanical Gardens in the Bronx, which is one of Sarah's favorite places. Really wanted to see it. They have a wetland walk, so I mean, but we decided not to because Sarah had been feeling a bit poorly the day before and I was feeling pretty poorly myself. Also because again, the weather was just, it was too much. It was so humid, and if you go to Botanical Gardens often, you know, they're just even more humid. I honestly couldn't face it, and then Sarah said she also was fine with not going, so that was kind of a relief. I think it would have just been a lot, and then we'd have to travel out there and back, and I was kind of worried about traveling in the heat as well, especially because the following day I then had quite a lot to do, because this was the 6th, so the next day was Yoseka and everything, which I knew would be my longest day. So in the end, she came to meet me at the hotel, and we just walked along the waterfront in Williamsburg for a while. It was really, really nice. I saw Domino Park, which is cool, and then we ate lunch at the Butcher's Daughter, which is also somewhere I went in 2020, and I didn't realize that until we were inside, and then I was like, oh, I've been here. Which is really strange in New York, of all places that I've only been to once for like 4 days. But I kept finding these places again and being like, oh. When I went to Butcher's Daughter in 2020, it was with my friend Gosha, and we saw Neve from Catfish. So it was like my first celebrity spotting. We weren't weird about it, but it caught us off guard because at the time, I think I had been marathoning Catfish while working, and I've never really watched it before or since. But I had gone through like a Catfish phase for like 2 months. And then we traveled to New York, and then like we were eating the most overpriced avocado toast I've ever eaten in my life. And then I was like to Gosha, I was like, I think Nee from Catfish is sat behind you, and she was like, don't be ridiculous. And then I took a photo of her, like, for her Instagram, and then she zoomed in on the background, and you can just see Neve in the background. And like, it's just like, it's a really silly, it's strange. It was just a lot. Like, you come to New York and you do actually just see these people. That's not relevant, but I met Sarah, I went to Butcher's Daughter. It was great. I had like a vegan BLT, but without the tomato. And it's like rice paper bacon, and it's like smoked, and it's just rice paper, and it's like basil pesto, and like some spinach, I think, maybe. Honest to God, it was the most delicious thing I ate, like, ever, maybe. It's really stuck with me. Like, it was so good. Not sure how they're making that, but I would love to find out. It was really good. In my book, I just have some photos of us holding cans. We took some selfies too, but I don't tend to post those anywhere. And to me, this, like, I remember us walking around and stuff and the things we saw and talked about, so it kind of is nice. After that, we were too hot, so we went back to the hotel and we sat in the coffee shop in the hotel in the aircon, and we talked for a couple more hours. And that was really nice. It then started absolutely tanking it down. Like, it rained really hard. And Sarah went home. In the evening, I met Brontë and PJ for the first time, and that was really cool. I remember being like really nervous because I am not always the best at meeting new people. Autistically speaking, I'm always apprehensive, but they were super, super easy to get on with from the get-go, obviously. And it was, I just remember being really relieved that it was so easy and so nice. So we had dinner in the hotel, and we made plans for the next morning because we were all going to walk into Yoseka together. So that was nice. Went to bed kind of late that night, but I was kind of glad for it. I had a shower, and then I just slept really hard, I think. Did start waking up kind of early the next day though, on the 7th. Yep, we're on the 7th. So I did wake up at like 3, and then at 4, and then at 5. You know, when you're anticipating something and you don't want to oversleep your alarm, so you just keep waking up in like anticipation, I guess, of the alarm going off, and I just kept doing that. Got ready and went down early. Let me check what footage I have for this day, actually. So I went down and I met them quite early. And an interesting thing about when I was in New York is that the whole time I was there, it was so hot and the humidity was so high that it was like perpetually foggy. I've never seen so much fog in my life. It was really cool and kind of eerie. On this day the temperature had dropped quite a lot and it just made it foggier. So I do have a little bit of footage of some fog, and it was just such a strange phenomena that I kept experiencing. I feel like fog is quite rare in at least my parts of the UK. Like, it happens early in the morning when it's cold in the winter, but it doesn't happen like in the middle of the day. So to always go outside and just see all the view disappearing in the fog and the bridges and everything disappearing in the fog all the time was just kind of incredible. Obviously I love some good fog, so that was kind of cool for me. So Kat met us at the hotel, and I'm losing my voice a bit, so bear with me. Kat met us at the hotel, and again, I remember feeling kind of nervous because more new people. This was a day of a lot of new people, so I think I was a little bit nervous anyway. But again, Kat was also really easy to get on with, like everyone was so easy to get on with. And maybe I'll take a moment here to say thank you to everyone that I met, because I spent those first couple of days alone and I was really nervous about the transition from being alone and kind of frazzled to being around so many new people. But everyone made it so easy. It was honestly, it was fine. It was absolutely fine. It's one of those things that in your head feels so much bigger than it is. So thank you to Kat and to Brontë and PJ and to Sarah as well, and to everyone that I met at Yosaka, because it was really the nicest time, and I was nowhere near as stressed as I thought I would be. You guys really made those last couple of days I had in New York so good and so special, and I'm really glad. I'm really grateful that, first of all, that I met everyone and got to see everyone, especially Kat, who I never thought I'd be able to meet. But also that I had the opportunity to go and that I had the savings available to use. Like, I'm just really glad, I guess. I'm really grateful. So we left the hotel around 9ish and we walked into Yosaka. I have some little bits of footage of our feet and then of the Yosaka Stein. We got our lanyards, which I showed you in the last video that I wrote my name terribly on. And then I just have the footage from the Stationery Fest. So I think what I might do is let that play for a second with some music and you can look at everything. And then I'll come back in a second and tell you the rest of the day. So at the Hobonichi preview party, I remember immediately falling in love with the cover that has the little dogs on it. And also looking at all the new stuff for 2025, I think is partly what started my spiral when I came home and started thinking about A6 again. I think ultimately Filofax is the most practical for me. It gives me the most creativity and the most freedom. It also gives me the most support without being stifling. Like, it's equal parts supportive and freeing, and I think that's what I need. I did actually find a way this week of fitting personal size rings in an A6 Filofax cover. If you want some information on that, let me know and I'll include it in the next video. It was a funny little experiment. I have it, is it in here? Yeah, this is the page size that fits. So it's a bit smaller, but it's not terrible. I was kind of compelled by it. It's kind of interesting. Let me know if you want more information on that. But I did decide, I think, to get a weeks for next year, as I mentioned, so that's kind of nice. I really like the little dog cover that I mentioned, and you can get that for the weeks. And there's also the little gifts artist whose name I can never remember, Yumi, and then I can never remember the second half. Is it Kitagashi? The purple, like the little lilac cover, me and Kat, as soon as we saw it, we were kind of like gasping. It's really pretty in person, the way like when you tilt it and the gold kind of reflects, it's so pretty. It almost gives me like Sacred Heart Catholic vibes in a way, and I'm kind of into it. I've been seriously considering it for next year, even though I'm a bit worried I might get sick of it. I think I could probably goth it up with a black ribbon. I don't know, it really grabbed me when I saw it, so I'm not sure. But the Hobonichi preview party was really cool. Thank you to Hobonichi for inviting me. It was really cute, and we got to see all the cool new stuff for next year. If you have any questions about any of the products, if you haven't ordered yet, let me know in the comments and I can try and answer as best I can if I saw it. I have some photos and stuff too, so you can also email me, and if I have any footage or photos of the cover you're thinking of, then I can always send it to you. I know I'm a bit late to that. The shop opened last night actually, so I am a bit late. But if anyone is still deciding, if you have questions, feel free to ask. Stationery Fest itself was super cool. I didn't buy a lot because I was trying to pace myself, I guess. I was trying to be careful about what I bought. I don't tend to use a lot of stickers and tape and stuff, so I didn't want to fall into the trap of buying a lot of stuff I wouldn't use, basically. I do use some stickers these days, but not loads, and definitely not like the really cutesy ones, which are quite common in like art fairs. It's just not really my style, I guess. I prefer things that are more ephemera based. I did get this really cute one, which I think I showed from the JCN shop, which was nice. That was a freebie. And then Brontë gave me these stickers, so I put my name on here with those. On the back, I do have a New York City one from the Paper Plants Co. And that was cute. And then I have the photos in my book. So that's our feet, and then the Yoseka, and then the Hobonichi. And then after the Stationery Fest, I will say that I kind of wish I bought a bit more than I did. I think there are some things I have regrets about not buying because I was so paranoid about not using it. But I guess it's better to not have spent it than to have spent it and regret it. So there we go. After that, Brontë and PJ were off doing their own thing because they had a different Hobonichi appointment time to us. So it was just me and Kat hanging out. Very fun. We went to the Popmart shop. Kat showed me the Popmart shop and I picked up the Universal Monster Popmart figures finally. Also got my first Smiskies, and I immortalized that by sticking it down here as a little picture. The first one I got was Phantom of the Opera. Really exciting. We opened them in a coffee shop, which was cool. I'm just thinking about my footage. So we went to the Popmart shop, and then Kat got this like eraser. I was gonna call it a rubber, but that's something else in America. She got this eraser that's a toilet and there's like a poo inside it. And when she was opening that outside and we were giggling about it, the footage is so funny because we're both just cracking up, and it's really sweet. And then after that we walked to a coffee shop called Mammon. And we ate some food because we hadn't eaten yet that day, and it was like 3 p.m. I was really hungry. And we opened the rest of the Popmart figures. I got Phantom of the Opera, and then my other one was Frankenstein, and Kat gave me Dracula because she already had it, so thank you again to Kat for that. So now I have my 3 favorite guys, and also my little Smiski, which I showed you in the haul. In my notebook here, I also have like half of a postcard that's been photocopied. I made this for the A6 rings experiment thing, and then I decided afterwards I would keep it in here. So I popped that in underneath. In the coffee shop, what else happened? Kat got a really cool ghost Popmart. It's the classic one that comes in the cardboard box, one of the first ones that I got too back in the day. And we were so excited because when she first opened it, we saw the tiny ghost like companion and we were like squealing about it. And then she opened the actual thing and it was like the big ghost, and in the footage we're both just like screaming. And then I say, oh my god, in the most British accent I've ever heard, which is kind of embarrassing, but it's just really sweet. It's really cool. I had a really good time with Kat, so thank you, Kat, if you're watching. It was really good to meet you. And thank you for the stickers too, because they're super cool. I'll put Kat's information and her shop and her channel in the comments in case you somehow haven't heard of her. Her shop stuff at the moment is very cool, and I've seen her working on Halloween stuff, so you should be excited. In the evening, I met back up with PJ and Bronte for dinner. We went to a restaurant called Serene Co. They had a fixed menu for $45, and it was really good. The drinks we had were like a blood orange spritzer thing. It was really good. I just remember that being like really refreshing. It was good. And then I didn't like the starter that was vegetarian. It was like a pickled quinoa, and it was like eating a mouthful of bees. It was really strange. But the main was is it called cavatappi, that pasta, the little ones that look like gnocchi, and it was with like basil and pistachios and feta cheese, and it was so good. Again, another meal that I like really think about. And then for dessert I had affogato, which is ice cream and coffee. So good. And we had some really good conversations, I think. And the atmosphere was just really nice, and like because New York is kind of like a later running city, I guess, like the atmosphere was just really chill even though it was like getting kind of late. And it was nice. It was a really nice time. So thank you again to Bronte and PJ for that. I took some photos of the restaurant because it was really atmospheric, as I say, and I have some footage, so I've shown you that as well. And then when I came back to the hotel, I also filmed some footage outside the window in the dark because I love that like New York skyline twinkling in the night thing. It's kind of hard to get that in London unless you're in Central where all the big towers are and you're somewhere high up, but in New York it's so commonplace almost. So I caught that as well. The last day, so we're on day 5, which was the 8th of August, and this was my final day. I had a flight at 6:30 p.m. I think, so I had to leave by kind of like 2 p.m. In the morning, Bronte and PJ invited me along with them to get coffee at Devotion, which is quite, I think, a popular coffee chain in New York, or in Brooklyn anyway. It was good. So interestingly, I noticed that in America or in New York, you don't really have flat whites, which is a type of coffee. It's a bit like a cappuccino, but with less foam. It's kind of my go-to because you get a good amount of caffeine without being like too much milk, I guess. Like lattes are way too much milk and then cappuccinos are way too much foam, and I feel like a flat white is a perfect middle ground. They don't really exist there. I don't know why. You guys just aren't into that, I guess. So I got a cappuccino. And we all had banana bread, and it was really good banana bread. So that was nice. It was really cool. We sat for a while and we talked and we did some journaling stuff. Bronte and PJ were doing like a lot of scrapbooking stuff. I was waiting because I normally stick photos before I write. But I took some notes on my phone. I was updating my daily notes for the trip. I kept a long like notes app page with all the flight information and then like my itinerary for each day and kind of like my small observations to try and like help my memory. So I was updating that and kind of writing a bit in my cousin as well. And that was really cute. I have this picture here of my suitcase, which this one half of it was just souvenirs and weird little things, which was kind of fun. Really enjoyed that. And then I have the Hoxton little pamphlet-y thing, it's like a feedback form, I guess. I think Bronte and PJ have these too. Everyone stole them from the hotel. But I folded that in half and glued it to give it more like strength, and then I punched it to put it in here, so it's quite cute. This side, so after the coffee shop, which was cute, we went to haricots verts, which means green beans, I found out. I was googling the site to get the pictures. I was like, oh, it just means green beans? Like, that's really cute. So we went to Haricot Fair, and we made the charm bracelets and the earrings and the necklace and stuff that I told you about in the haul video, so I won't go over that again too much, but it was a really, really fun time. So for that I have this photo of our feet, and I'm assuming I have video footage, but for some reason I haven't finished compiling it. So I took this photo of our feet standing here, and then because there was a stamp on the ground for the shop, which seems to be quite a common thing in New York, that you get these stamps on the ground. I found a Måneskin one and I was like, oh my god, a Måneskin Easter egg. And then I also pulled this little graphic from their website. It's just like some little icons of the kinds of like charms they make. They're like silly little like everyday items, and I thought that was kind of cute to tie the page together. So on the next side, I again took this from their website, and it is just some charms. I had to like erase the background, but I think it helps fill the space a bit. And then I have these photos from the shop, and I have footage of that definitely, so I'll put that on screen. It was a really cute place. The vibe was quite nice. Like everyone was like very artsy but friendly, not like pretentious and intimidating. Everyone was really easy to talk to, and they were really eager to help and stuff, and they seemed to be having a very good time amongst themselves, so that was cute. And it was pretty quiet when we were there too, so we were able to just poke around in all the dishes for ages. It was really fun. PJ made these earrings for New York, and so there was like all these little New York elements, like a Metro card and French fries and like I don't know what other New York things. I think there was like an I Heart New York thing as well, and it was just like really cool. They were like these long dangling earrings with like 4 or 5 charms, and it was sick, so good. And Bronte made these really cute ones, one with a pomegranate and one was a fish, but the fish was articulated, so it bent around when you moved it. So that's really cool. I have really good memories from this morning, so I'm really glad that they thought to take me there. They said they had gone the previous day and thought of me, and that's really nice, so thank you guys. I also have the business card from Haricot Fair in here, hole punched that. And then this is the last little bit I have, so we're almost there, which is good because I'm really losing my voice. This is the 3 of us standing outside the hotel, and then me with my suitcase and my previous like luggage tag. I took a taxi back to JFK. The hotel works with a firm that can arrange it for you, and it's just a lot less stressful when you're on a time constraint, I think, and when you're as tired as I am. So I took a taxi back, and because I still had dollars left to get rid of as well, I took dollars as a precaution. And I had like literally the perfect amount for the taxi and the tip. I was like, must be fate. And the guy was really friendly as well. He was so nice, and then when he realized how tired I was, he was like, it's okay, I'll stop talking. And I was like, okay. So that was cool. I will say every time I go to America, like people are really friendly, and it can feel a bit over the top as a British person. Like I think our politeness and our customer service is a lot more laid back here. In New York, it's very like, it is a bit over the top, I guess is what I mean. But sometimes that leads to really sweet and genuine interactions. And what I'm trying to say is that I met so many lovely random people while I was there, and I feel like the same thing happened in 2020 as well. And in Canada, to be honest. Everyone is just so friendly and willing to talk, and when they realize you're a tourist, they ask you questions, and they seem genuinely invested. I don't know if they are, but you have some really nice conversations, and people always give you like local recommendations and stuff. They tell you where to get the best pizza, and everyone has a different conflicting opinion, and it's kind of cool. So I don't know, like I came home and I was like, I kind of want to go back. Like I was really sad to leave, which I think can only ever be like the best review of a place. So I think that is all my footage. The only thing I forgot to include is the bag I bought from Bagu. That was kind of a sporadic purchase, but not one that I regret, because I saw it in the Bagu shop. I made eye contact with it, and I was like, oh wow, like I kind of love her. So an unplanned purchase, but I've literally carried it with me every day since, and so I don't think I regret it. I don't regret it at all. Really big fan. Again, it's part of the collab with Colleen Strada, so it has like this textured strap, and then there's like the silver buckle, which is really pretty. It really catches the light. It really caught my eye in the Bagu shop. They get a lot of nice light in there, and everything is so pretty and colourful. It really bounces around. And then the interior lining is patterned in like the most dreamy, like soft colors, and I didn't even realize that when I bought it. I didn't notice the lining until I got back to the hotel, and then I was like, oh my god, like she has layers. So I filmed a little like what's in my bag thing while I was in the hotel, and I'll attach that here at the end quickly so you can see it. But it was really cute. I kind of liked that. So I think that is everything from New York. I hope this was an okay format for the video. I hope you enjoyed hearing me talk about it. There were so many things that I remember that I don't know how to talk about and I didn't film. Like when we were in the fog, there were all these geese and there's like a vacant lot, and they were all just hanging out in the fog, and it was, and like the long grass, and that was really cool and strange. There were a lot of houses covered in like wooden shingles. I remember Bronte pointed these out, and after that I kept looking at them and I was like, you're right, that is so cool and strange, because I don't think that's as common in the UK. And like it gives things a really nice effect. I also really like that in New York the red brick buildings are really beautiful, and the big like warehouse style windows that you get in a lot of areas. You don't really tend to see those much in the UK, only in like the Dockland parts of London sometimes, that kind of area. What else? I just remember like when I finally adapted to the heat, I started to be okay with it, I think, and then the weather dropped, and I just remember thinking how comfortable things were getting, and like it felt almost autumnal even though it had been so hot. Like when the weather dropped that one day, it felt more autumn like, and I remember thinking like this place is kind of cool, the colors are so soft, and I kind of like it. I don't know, I had a really good time, so shout out to New York City as well, I guess. Thanks for hosting me. It was nice. I'm really grateful that I got to go. So I think that's everything. We'll do a quick flip of the pages again if you want to see. So my travel journal, my garbage pail kid, the ice cream, and then I've got my cinema tickets, and I'm probably going to add some more stickers in these little gaps. I didn't actually track my expenses because I didn't want to think about it. I just wanted to have fun. I didn't actually spend anywhere near as much as I thought though. When I came home and totaled it all up and I looked at it properly, it really wasn't as bad as I thought. There were a couple of things I didn't buy that I could have because I spent so little. But again, as I say, better to regret not spending enough than spending too much. So no harm done there. I have the little sticker from Stationery Fest, and I have my name tag and my little New York souvenir sticker, the Pooh, and the Phantom from Phantom of the Opera. This is the vacant lot that had the geese, but you can't see it in the footage, I don't think. My partial postcard that I bought at Spoonbill in Sugartown, and then my suitcase. I think I still have some more scraps to add in here in different places, but for now I think it's good. So there we go, that's everything. And then I went to a wedding the day later and I literally could not feel my face. So, okay, thank you for watching. I hope this was interesting. Sorry about the unconventional, how would you call it? Oh my god, presentation, the unconventional presentation of this video. As I say, I just couldn't pull it together with audio and background noise. It was too loud and too quiet and nothing was working. And I guess I wanted to talk about it a bit. I hope you enjoyed it, hope you liked it. Hopefully it pulled together with footage. And I will see you next week.